let me give you something funny. After we went in to Marvel, everybody sort of heard about that one. We went about an hour later directly across the street to go to DC.
That's the best part. Yeah.
DC, Marc had never worked for DC.
I did. I started my career there.
No, who was it? Jim. Oh, it was Jim. Jim Lee, who was the golden boy, had never done a page for DC. And then back then, there was only two options. If you quit Marvel, you went to DC. If you quit DC, you went to Marvel. So we walked into DC with Jim Lee. All the editors just went, oh my God, the golden boy is here. He never walked into our office ever. They sit down, they get all the editors, and they go, what can we do for you? And we say, he's not going to work for you either. We just quit Marvel, but he's never going to work for you either. We just told Marvel we're not going to work for them, and we just thought we'd give the same courtesy to you that we're not working for you either. And we got sort of laughed with the same conversation. And for 20 minutes, they thought they had hit the mother load. They had hit the mother load. But let me just tell you one thing I'm going to the other guys. I remember. Besides I was already going, I remember that meeting with DC Comic Book. So besides I already knew why we were going to leave, the DC said, well, why wouldn't you come work for us? Because we're doing things that are better for the community, the creative community. We've just actually created this new document that will make it better for the creative community and that your lives will be better. And in that moment, with 10 of them sitting there, I asked the question that I'll never forget. And I go, I just got to ask the one question. While you were putting together the document to basically tell us how our lives will now be better as creative people, how many creative people did you talk to that had input into that document? And when I got the pregnant pause, it was all I needed at that moment to just cement the deal that we were making the right move. That they were going to tell us what our life was going to be about without asking any of us how we actually thought our life should be. And very shortly, we went to his house for the very first meeting, and Image Comic Books was born, and we are here 20 years later.
When you guys started, I mean, a lot of people from Marvel DC, but Jim, you've done some independent publishing. I mean, did you have an idea of what this undertaking would take to make a publishing company?
What do you mean?
Like the printing costs, the shipping, all that stuff. I mean, it's more than just writing and drawing comics. The business side of things.
Oh,
how
sure.
did that come together?
Yeah, I knew all about that stuff. What we had done, one of the things we had done, which was very smart, was because we hadn't built an infrastructure yet. So we hired Malibu Comics as our infrastructure, figuring it would take us a year to put all that together.
Which we were very straightforward.
We were very straightforward. Yeah, Image was never an imprint of Malibu. Malibu worked for us right from the start, day one. And the way that worked was they had the color houses, they had all the infrastructure in place. Took us a year. After that first year, we were like, we're out of here. We're on our own, totally on our own. We had built up the relationships that we needed with printers, with distributors, with everything like that. Because like Todd said, we had the power of 7. And, you know, we had that buying ability. The Image umbrella gave us all individual autonomy and buying power of a co-op, basically. So that's how we worked it.
So now when you set out to do, to kind of start everything, you mentioned you guys had characters, and these are characters that you created, Eric, you created Savage Dragon when you were a kid, right? Were these characters that were just waiting to come out and really saw this as the only avenue to make this happen?
Yeah, it's nice to know you've grown as a creator too.
Yeah, isn't it?
Savage Dragon at 12.
I had the one idea.
That's his one idea.
I don't know, it's like 8. Pretty good. Just curious with that. But I think Todd created Spawn when he was pretty young.
Yeah, 16, I created Spawn in high school.
And Rob had the Youngblood guys in the Megaton days, so I mean that was pretty far back. I think a lot of us had sort of stuff that we had created, and we were sitting there working at Marvel and DC. You kind of go, I use this here, it's gone forever. And I at least have some regrets in terms of characters that I did give them. kind of going his teeth, you know?
But you bring a good point up. It's like, right, I think, really what makes image important in pop culture, and not just in the world of comics, but Marvel Comics never in a million years would have published Savage Dragon. They wouldn't have. Even if we would have given it to them, they never would have published it, right? It's like, because it's a singular vision that only you could have pulled off.
Yeah.
And they're never going to give someone, especially back then, that kind of power. They're not going to put anything behind that. And Todd, they might have let you use Spawn, because you were Todd, maybe. I don't know if you ever pitched it to him.
No.
Yeah, I don't think that.
Not the way you wanted to do
No,
it.
it would have been editorialized, and it would have been watered down to the point where Spawn would have been walking around with webs all over his costume. And shooting out the goofy fucking stuff that you were famous for.
And the thing, Marc, just talking to the creators, other people who have done stuff and have created characters and stuff like that. I remember talking to Keith Giffen, talking about Lobo, and an editor saying to him, hey, I don't think Lobo would do that. and Keith was like, I created the guy. I'm pretty sure I know what my guy would do. You know, and it's just that editorial attitude of, yeah, I think we know a little bit better than you do, the guy who created the character.
And the creators in that culture, in the big two culture, in spite of what the fans may have thought, we didn't have a whole lot of juice. We didn't have a whole lot of say. I mean, I think to a certain degree they might have listened to you or Jim or something like that to a certain degree. Then they would have put the brakes on it. And it would have become an editorial conversation. And at that point, they would have said, okay, this is what this is what we'd like you to do.
More than that, though, creating the characters for Marvel or DC means that we would lose those characters at some point or another. Todd, you're too difficult to work with. We're going to get Joe Banana to do your character now.
Oh, man,
That kind of
Joe Banana.